Satyam Param Dhimai. Om Satyam Param Dhimai. Om Satyam Param Dhimai. Om Satyam Param Dhimai. Om Satyam Param Dhimai.
Good evening. Today we are going to talk about Radha and Krishna, and we're going to divide this whole process, which we call Radha and Krishna, into three parts: Radhe Govind, Radhe Krishna, and Radhe Shyam. So Krishna had many names, but for our study today we'll take these three names: Govind, Krishna, and Shyam. Like I said before, the name Krishna, it holds both the parts, that is activity and dissolution of activity. Krish, activity, na, nivrutti. So activity is symbolized by ploughing. Krish means to plough the land. Kriya. And nivrutti, where everything again dissolves back into the source where it came from. Krishna is also a point. That point which gives rise to all three: the intellectual, that's my hand, the intellectual, the emotional, the instinctive. Krish, that which attracts. So Go means the senses, the five senses. So Radhe Govind is the mantra of the physical world, of the material world. When we need balance in our material possessions. Because Go means the senses, when we talk about Radhe Govind, we are going to talk about physical meeting, physical union. It is when they really met, what happened. Then a point comes in their relationship, where again we come back to those 11 years and 11 months and 11 days, where Krishna goes to Mathura and he never comes back to Vrindavan again. So they don't meet. So then, in that phase of her development, Radha's development, we will take the mantra Radhe Krishna. So Radhe Govind, Go meaning the five senses, the physical meeting where two lovers meet. Radhe Krishna, the process that continues in Radha after Krishna is not there physically. So the process of attraction, the process of dissolving. And Radhe Shyam. Shyam means black, blackness. The black hole in which everything dissolves, nothing remains. When science is talking about the black hole, they are talking about something in the physical universe. We are talking about something in a different universe, the psychic universe. So, where everything merges, where you don't know who is Radha and who is Krishna. So these three stages we'll take. We will call them as transformation, that is Radhe Govind, transmutation, Radhe Krishna, and merging or dissolving, where even that which is transmuted returns to its source. Transformation, if we take iron and make steel out of it and we make utensils out of it, then it is a form of transformation of that iron. The atoms of iron haven't changed. They're still iron atoms. But they've been transformed into something more beautiful. The lower has been transformed into the higher. The law of transformation is on the earth, on the planets. But when man discovered nuclear science, nuclear energy, he discovered a secret of the sun where there's transmutation. And this was the secret which alchemists have been searching for centuries. How to make lead into gold. So transmutation is, once there was transformation, then that transformed substance was transmutated into something else, something totally different from what it was originally. The real alchemy was the inner transformation, where the lower was transformed first into the higher, and then the higher was transmutated into something different. Lead became gold. So, now this process again of transformation we will divide into three again: preparation, purification, and then the final transformation. And that begins with Krishna coming into Gokul as a young child. We went through that a few days ago, where Vasudeva brings him and exchanges him with Yashoda's daughter. The gopis, Gokul has gopis and gopas. The gopis, when Krishna first came as a child, their first attraction towards him was Vatsalya, motherly love. As he grew older, this turned into Rati Bhav or Madhurya Bhav. Right? There was physical attraction to Krishna, to the young Krishna. If we look into this a little deeply, there are three kinds of sex energy. A certain amount of sex energy is given to the soul at the time it decides to take birth. It has to decide which sex it wants to be. And in that decision-making process, there is an attraction. The soul sees where it wants to be born, and there is an attraction either to the father or there is an attraction to the mother. If there's an attraction to the father, then a female, a daughter is born. If there's an attraction to the mother, a son is born. So it is given a certain amount of sex energy before birth. We can call this what the Taoists call as prenatal sex energy. Now this sex energy is devoid of excitement. There is no excitement in this sex energy. There is a fondness, a tenderness, like a mother has for the child. And this is very valuable because we are born with a very limited supply of this energy. And we waste it. So yoga has different techniques and different methods of saving this sex energy. Then the second advent of sex energy comes when we come into adolescence, where there is physical attraction to someone. Now this sex energy with which expresses itself at the time of adolescence is a victim of excitement. It gets excited very easily. It sees something it likes, it gets excited. It doesn't like someone, it gets excited. And in that excitement there is always drainage of energy, wastage of energy. And it is a long process to free the sex energy of excitement. It is this process which we are going to talk about. But we already had one energy which was free of excitement. Only we never knew how to use it, how to save it, how to conserve it. Finally, there is a sex energy which is more cosmic in nature. Maybe in the final stages of Omkar, like I told you, the tongue and the top of the mouth, they join into something and a different kind of sex energy is born in the yogi. In yoga we call it as Khechri Mudra. This is cosmic. Planets are attracted to each other. When we study astrology, there is attraction and repulsion of the planets. This is not excitement. One planet doesn't get excited by another planet. But this is a different form of sex energy. And as we rise in yoga, as we move into these different exercises, we will learn to make direct contact with that energy. So these are three different forms. So we'll go through these three levels. Physical, Radhe Govind. We do sing the mantra. So it is a physical mantra, Radhe Krishna, for the subtle universe, the universe of our relationships. You may have very bad relationships with someone, between husband, wife, son and father. So there the mantra is Radhe Krishna. And when everything has to dissolve, then the mantra is Radhe Shyam. Now, in Indian Hindu, what we call thought, there is the concept of the God coming down on the earth and mixing with fellow men to serve a certain purpose. He comes with a certain purpose. And when he comes with his Shakti, his energy. He does not do anything. It is his Shakti which, the whole play is the play of his Shakti, of his energy. And this is the movement of male energy and female energy. One is the watcher, one is the doer. One has aggressiveness, one has receptivity. One is hard, one is soft. One receives, one gives. This is the dance of these two energies. So that energy which he comes with is called as Adya Shakti. And we worship that Adya Shakti on the 9 nights of Navratri. Right? But that Adya Shakti is nothing but our own unconscious mind. And this whole outer journey which we are going to talk about is also an inner journey, where the inner male meets the inner female. So the energies of the unconscious, the subconscious, the conscious, the female energies meet the inner watcher. The inner watcher is Krishna. Now, like we said before, this whole period of Gokul and Vrindavan is the most talked about period in Krishna's life. The beauty of it is that there is no mention of it in the Mahabharata. So if we want to study it, we have to go to the Bhagavad, or we go to the Vishnu Puran, or we go to Harivansh. But in the Mahabharata, there is absolutely no mention of this period of Radhe Krishna, except where once Krishna and Arjun decide to go on a picnic, and they go on the banks of the Yamuna, and here Vyasa has made a beautiful description of where they go and what they eat, and they take all dancing girls with them, and they are having a good time. And then late in the night, they are sitting on the Yamuna, and Arjun asks Krishna, "Can please tell me something about your relationship with Radha?" And that is the only two lines in the Mahabharata where it is mentioned that where Krishna's relationship with Radha is mentioned. Then of course that picnic turns into the burning of the Khanda one. Khanda means that which is khandit within us. Everything is in a chaos within us. And they burn this Khanda one. It's a long story, I will not go into it, but we'll take it someday. It's a beautiful story where Krishna and Arjuna, they fight the Devas, they fight Indra, and they burn this forest called the Khanda. Khanda is something which is old, destroyed, khandit. Archaeological remains, we call it as khandit. There's no life, it's dead. And from that Khanda Prast, that area which they burned, the Pandavas made Indraprastha. The city of the five senses. Indra is the five senses. Prast means prasthapit. The city of the five senses where there is energy of sensitivity, which is alive. So that which was dead was transformed to that which was alive. So when Krishna comes to Gokul, the gopis first have this motherly love for him, which we call as Vatsalya. There are Gopalas, and Go again means Indriya, and Pa means Palanha, the one who nourishes the senses. One P, Gopi, the one who drinks from the senses, the one who nourishes the senses. Now both these words are very, very important. Now he plays the flute, and we are going to look at three kinds of flute. Murli, Murli, Venu and Vanshi. Murli means a circle. So as he grows up, he is playing this flute, and when he plays this flute, all these gopis and gopas, they gather. It could be a moonlit night. It could be on the banks of the Yamuna. It could be in the forest. Right? And they were attracted to his flute. Now, flute is the first music. The first music which man heard was when he went to meditate in the bamboo forests, and ants had eaten up certain bamboo, and the wind would blow and go through those holes in the bamboos, and when sitting there meditating, he heard this music, and that's the way the flute was made. Again, when we go into this music, this sound, we say sound was the first guna of Akash Tattva, the first symptom of Akash, the highest sound. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. So sound is the highest. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. The Rig Ved, Prajapati idam hasti. First there was Prajapati. Tasya vaka dvitya hasti. But with him was the Word, his Word. It was second, dvitya, second. First was Prajapati. Vak evam paramam brahma. But that word of his was the param brahma. So, when we are looking at the flute, we are not just looking at some instrument which Krishna was playing. We are looking at something of the highest order, which sound. So that now we are looking at it in three different ways. Murli, a circle. So this feeling that the gopis had for Krishna, as from motherly love, it changed into physical attraction, what we call Rati Bhav. And he would play this flute, and they would make a circle, and that circle would have 64 kalas. These are the gopas. Like in a board of chess, you have 64 squares. This is very important because when we study the law of octaves, we will see that 8 into 8 is 64. Wherever there are Shakti Peeths in India, the original Shakti Peeth started from 64 yoginis. These are all the Matajis whom we do puja to. 64 yoginis. I remember many years ago I was able to spend a week in Khajuraho. And the Khajuraho temples, they were built from a platform where there's no statues left now, but those were the 64 yoginis. How did these yoginis come into being? What made these yoginis? So they say that Adya Shakti, which is also called as Kundalini, she wanted to express herself. Shiva told Shakti, you go, you make the universe, you express yourself. And she divided herself into an alphabet. How did she divide herself into an alphabet? She coiled around the backbone of man. She made 51 circles around the backbone of man. And those 51 circles became the 51 letters of the Sanskrit alphabet. So when we are talking to each other, we are not just talking to each other. It is that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. It is these 51 circles of that original primal energy, Radha. So they would make a circle, and there would be 64 kalas in that circle. Now, of course, everything has become very chaotic. The ras which is done in Navratri has no science to it left at all. But here there was a science to it. The Gopalas would stand at different places protecting certain energies. Now these 51 circles, which that original, it went on to form the 7 chakras, what we call the 7 chakras, Shat chakra, 6 and 1, 7. Have we gone into this last year? No? Okay, I'll see if there's time towards the end. I'd like to go into what is sound energy. After we finish the Gopi Geets, if we can go how these 51, what they mean, and how 51 became 64. So then the Rishis, they combined certain letters to make certain mantras. Now, it's a little difficult, but supposing we say that Muladhara chakra, the lowest chakra, has 4 letters in it. Sa, Sha, Sa, Ha. 4 letters in it. Right? And these letters together would make certain original sounds. So, out of 51 coils with that Kundalini made, they came to a sort of, they added 13 more and they made 64. But Yoga still uses only 51. It is Tantra which takes 64. They made some extra mantras, Rim, Shrim, Klim, some extra mantras, and they made them into 64. So, Murli means a circle. He would play his flute, and there would be a circle in which there would be a dance. And that dance would be according to certain movements of these sound energies in this circle. Now, in this, yeah.
I just need to know why does it have to be 51 circles, or why couldn't it be less? Why couldn't it just be 1? What was the significance of that 51 that became then 60? What you said, 64?
64. The Tantrics made it into 64.
So, at what point did the Adya Shakti decide that it's going to be?
Yeah, let's go into that. The movement was from subtle to gross. Subtle to gross. Now, why was the movement from subtle to gross? For expression of the three universes. So, it couldn't go on ad infinitum. It could go on. Now, these 51 can be divided into anything, if you want more or less. Right? But it is just a way of expressing that something very subtle started moving on, making the grosser universe and at one point it stopped. That's where everything was made. It was the whole journey of involution. So there to ask the question why is very difficult. All we can say is from the finest thing in the universe to the most gross, whether you call it stone or mineral universe, everything was expressed in those 51 sounds. You get what I'm trying to say? Again, those sounds were divided into swar and vyanjan, vowels and consonants. So all the vowels were put here. So the Vishuddhi chakra is 16 petals. That is the 16 vowels. What does it mean? What does it mean?
Words can be formed, or sound can be
formed. How is sound formed?
Vibration.
Right. Supposing we take homeopathy and we take these 51 sounds. What is homeopathy?
Natural medicine.
No. Supposing I'm in depression. So what does this depression mean?
It's a subtle.
Is it a subtle vibration? It is a combination of certain sounds, right, which have become predominant in me. Those vibrations have become predominant in me. They are killing the natural vibrations of different, maybe organs or different parts of my psychic structure, and I am suffering from either depression or maybe cough or cold or whatever. Right? Now, how did homeopathy come into being? What did the homeopath see?
Lack of vibration or energy.
No, every disease has a vibration. Every disease has a vibration. And every element in the universe has a vibration. You get it? And similar vibration cures similar vibration. You get it? We are saying that from this 51 sounds, the whole universe was built. The homeopath is saying that you're suffering from depression, then I have something called gold, which we call aurum, and you take drops of gold, it will cure your depression. Why is he saying that? Because the vibrational tone, that pattern which is lying in gold is the same one which is in depression, or maybe in epilepsy, whatever. You get it? So how was gold made? It was made through a certain vibration, and that vibration is lying in gold, and that gold can cure something of the same vibration. So these 51 sounds, they represented everything. Now, Kundalini didn't end there, because we are going to take this today. It didn't end there. What happened? It made an extra 3.5 turns. It made an extra 3.5 turns. What are these 3.5 extra turns? We've gone into this in the last few days only. We've been talking about this, if you remember. What are these extra 3.5 turns? Sesha. You will go out from here, you will say, I forgot to ask this question. Right? So, there is a pattern in the mind with some energy attached to it which lies in the subconscious. You get what I am trying to say? That hidden energy is called Kundalini. Sesha. Seshnar. Vishnu sleeps on Sesh Now, every moment in our lives, some residue is there of each meeting. And that residue holds energy, it holds attention, it holds light. It is lying in the unconscious mind, and that is Adya Shakti. She came down, she made 51 coils, and then she's sleeping in 3.5. You understand what I'm trying to say? So if we want that Kundalini to rise, where do we have to start from? From the residue. So each moment, if we can live each moment without any residue, then that hidden energy will start rising. That is all that is about. In this process, we are going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. So, in this Rati Bhav, this Vatsalya Bhav which changed to Rati Bhav, Bhav means flavor, Bhav means emotion, right? There was a kind of there was a flowering of love, right? So, there was remembering each other, there was going out on moonlit nights, there was the touch of a cold breeze would mean something, there was touching of hands, feeling each other's sensitivities, there was wearing of garlands, there were perfumes, wearing of ornaments, meetings in the night. And Krishna was the little God who was centered in all this. It was as if he had the eyes of the full moon, his face was of the full moon, and they could drink from his eyes. So everything was related to Krishna. That is, seeing him darshan, touching him, hugging him. In this whole movement there was no shame. There was absolutely no taboos, do's and don'ts. There was no fear of society. They would cry for Krishna. When they would think of Krishna, their breasts would be full of milk. They wouldn't mind leaving their husbands in the middle of the night and running to meet Krishna on the banks of the Yamuna. They would get excited by him. They would get sexually excited by him. And they could not stay a single moment without Krishna. This was Radhe Govind, the physical meeting of the gopis and Krishna. So even to stay without him for one moment was difficult. They used to crave for Krishna the whole day. We don't crave for the divine. We crave for everything else in life. And here we are coming to a point where this craving for someone, we are able to transform it from craving for that. It's a transformation. They wanted his presence. Now, when we talk about presence, inner presence is also Krishna, but we don't value inner presence, our inner presence. Anyway, this was at the physical level, so meeting of the senses, there was attraction, they wanted to meet, there was tension when they were away from each other. If Krishna met some other gopi, the other gopis would feel jealous. There are stories of Radha feeling jealous also of Krishna's flute. Radhika tune kyun bansi churai. Right? Because his lips would touch the flute. They would go mad, they would cry, and they would be even willing to die. And all this was the play which happened in Vrindavan after they left Gokul, because when they were 4 years and 4 months old, they left Gokul for Vrindavan. And it is till he was 11 years old they stayed in Vrindavan. So they would make this circle of energy where there would be different sounds, different postures, different asanas, postures of the body, postures of the mind, and there would be a movement of energy between male and female energy. And this circle was called Murli, and within the circle, the movement of energy which would flow is called as Venu. The flow. Ven means to flow. There would be a flow of energy. Giving of energy, dance, exchange of energy. They drank and Krishna gave. There would be times when he would play the flute. The gopis would have something on the, not on the gas, there was no gas in those days, but on the stove, and they wouldn't even bother to put off the stove. That would burn away, they would run to meet Krishna. That one-pointedness was there in the gopis. There was no justification that why I did it or why she did it. There was no justification. If we do something, then we like to explain to everybody, defend ourselves. All the lawyers inside the mind, they come out front to defend us. Here there was no defense. My teacher always told me, let your life be an example in itself. Never defend yourself for anything. One thing we must learn to do is to drop justifying ourselves. We keep on justifying. Usually I'm never late for a meeting, but this once there was a lot of traffic. We justify ourselves in everything. And to live a life without justifying. So here, the gopis did not have to justify anything. There was no justification for anything. They just went. Just hearing the sounds of the flute, they would run. Yeah, please.
Is that then the significance of the attraction of so many women towards one male figure? Is that there needs to be no justification? I'm just trying to work out, in terms of male and female roles in society and how the story plays out and significance in modern life.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's very difficult for me to answer that. If you are looking for an answer in terms of society and justice and what is right and what is wrong, what I'm going to talk about is an inner science of growth. And I'm going to use all this as, because in those days the rishis did not have a scientific language. For you and me it's easy to talk, we have a different language. In those days there was no language like that, so they had to put it in symbology. So I'm going to use these as symbols for inner growth. So I'm not going to talk about society or whether it's right or whether it's wrong but the inner male energy is one and the inner female energies are many. Whether you want to put it in life or in whichever way you want to put it. But this is the story of what happens within us. There are many sensitivities, but there is only one drinker of the sensitivities. So I have a sensitivity of this, I have a sensitivity of some other emotion, I have a sensitivity of some other feeling, I have a sensitivity of maybe, drinking a Coca-Cola or something of that. So I have so many sensitivities of life. These are all my inner gopis. But the one who is drinking this, the one who is present all the time. With us there is nobody present. We are sleeping, that inner presence sleeps all the time. He is the one who's experiencing all this. That is the one male energy, inner male energy. And there's so many different forms of female energy. And this is the dance which I'm talking about. So I won't correlate it to society and, outer life. But if we can live this, then our relationships in life change, to life change, and life changes. That I can guarantee you. Today, if you do something wrong to me, then I'll get angry, I'll get irritated, and there'll be a clash between you and me. But if there is just sensitivity of what you're saying, as one sensitivity, just the words, you're angry, you're irritated with me, there's a sensitivity of your irritation, then that's another sensitivity. The deeper sensitivity, where it is coming from. I'm not judging anything, I'm just enjoying the vibrations, the sensitivity. You get it? These are different gopis. These are different gopis. The person who's experiencing it is Krishna. It doesn't have to be a male body or female body. It could be in any body, because all bodies are male and female. Right? Just because a certain organ of the body is male or female doesn't make us male or female. Psychologically, we are both male and female. If you are angry on me, it is male energy. And if you are receptive to me, then it is female energy. It is the inner male and inner female. I am talking about that. And if we can understand this, then there is no problem anywhere in life. Nowhere. There is no reaction with anyone anywhere in life. Because if somebody is getting angry on me, I become female. I just absorb the anger. The inner female means the outer male. You may be a female, but you're getting angry, then it's an outer male. You get it? This is the science which I'm talking about.
Where does this male energy sit within you? Is that the soul? Is it something else that sits in an organ? Or it's not the Adi Shakti that's around the coil, because that's female. So this other presence, which is
it is the Adi Shakti.
That's the 51.
And the one who watches it, who experiences it, is the male energy.
So that's sitting in the spine. Is that sitting now in the spine?
That is sitting on the spine. No, that is not sitting on the spine. The female energy rotates around the spine to form 51 coils, which we call the letters of the Sanskrit alphabet. Right? But supposing you are experiencing something, then it is energy. But who is the person who is experiencing? I am looking at you. Right? So there is an experience of interacting with you. If you are talking with aggressiveness, then you are talking using male energy to talk. Right? If I am hearing with receptivity, then I am using my inner female too. So we may be totally unknown people, but still there is a meeting. Right? And this is a cosmic meeting. That inner male is the inner male which observes anything. I have not yet talked about self-observation, but maybe tomorrow or day after I am going to, because that is the whole key to the spiritual journey. Without self-observation, nothing is possible. There must be this division into it and I. Right? This inner division, where one part is able to observe and that part which observes is male, and everything that is being observed is female. So these are two parts within us. But each one has his own energy, with certain characteristics. So we say the male energy is aggressive. The female energy is receptive. These are just two ways of meeting. It's just a label which we put. It's just a label. But all energy is basically female. All energy is basically female. Right? So there is this meeting of reciprocal affection which we talked about day before yesterday, and they play what is called ras. And ras is a digestion of something called ras, the joy which we get from life. To transform it into something higher is ras. Every moment we are taking in something from life, from our five senses. What are we doing with it? Are we turning it into something higher? Then we are every moment playing this inner ras. This is just a way of putting it, what Radha and Krishna went through. It is an alchemical process, it isn't a chemical process. In this there is joy and sacrifice. So the gopis, they sacrificed everything for Krishna. And there's the highest joy in sacrifice. But we have something called in us called Shishupal, the inner child. And Shishupal has to be killed. Right? If you see our parliamentarians, once they have their seat, they don't want to give it to anybody else. This is the same young child who doesn't want to give his toy to anyone else. Nothing has changed. To play this game, that inner child has to die, because without sacrifice it's not possible. We can't sacrifice anything in life. And don't tell me I sacrifice for my son or daughter or anything. That's not sacrifice. If something were to happen, hate is just round the corner. I remember we had a camp about 25 days ago. And this lady, she was asking one question about, her father must have died 20 years ago. But she still can't get over it. She's still stuck there where her father died. Just imagine, you sacrifice everything for someone. Maybe a son or a daughter or something. 20 years, you send them to school, right? You don't take the joys of life, you give everything. And unless we can have joy through sacrifice, then it becomes a business, give and take. But if there is joy in sacrifice, in that very moment of giving it to him or her, we've enjoyed, we've risen. So we do it for 20 years, and there have been examples, and suddenly this man realizes, I did it for my son, but he's not my son. Suddenly he has a DNA test or something. What's going to happen? He'll start complaining. He'll start cursing that I wasted 20 years, 30 years of my life. And I told the lady the same thing, that supposing he was not your father, so? Now suddenly you realize at this moment that he was not your father. So, just when we sacrifice for the children, don't say we are sacrificing, because in that sacrificing there is the highest joy for anyone. So, but for that, to be able to sacrifice, the inner child has to die. Shishupal has to die. So there was a meeting of affection, and now the process starts where this affection rises into something higher. Lagni turns into bhav. Now we come to this, I'm taking this because it's a background for the Gopi Geet which I want to take from tomorrow. And one of these moonlit nights, I'm going to repeat this again next 2-3 days also. They cannot see Krishna. All the gopis have gathered. They heard the flute, but they can't find Krishna. And they look for him everywhere. They can't find him, but they see his footprints. And they see his footprints, but the footprints are not alone. One gopi is with him. Now there's a problem. Who is it with him? And suddenly all of them start feeling jealous. They start feeling possessive. They start crying out. And there is an inner hate, envy, there is suspicion. Now these are all the lower rungs of the ladder of love. This is the lower steps on the ladder of love which we want to climb. And we want to free our love of all this. And suddenly they start feeling all this. We get jealous very easily. But we never transform, we don't use that jealousy to transform it into something. There's so much beauty in jealousy. What happens in jealousy? Tell me. What? Supposing I'm jealous of you, what am I seeing in that jealousy? seeing in that jealousy? What new perception do I have which I normally do not have? What am I able to see?
Maybe a lack in yourself.
Can I see two things at the same time?
Something that you don't have.
Yeah, so am I feeling two things at the same time? That you have something and I have the absence of something? There are two different feelings, can you see? Having it also and not having it also. Now, this is a very high state of consciousness, only I am not conscious of it. If I can love someone and at the same time I can see where the hate which is lying in my subconscious mind, if she does something to give it back to me, I'll never feel angry because I know I love her and hate her at the same time. But when I love her, I think I'm only loving and she's... Can you see the beauty in jealousy? That a certain perception comes within us which normally we do not have. It is only when we are jealous. If we could consciously have that perception, then we've already risen. We have to extract that perception out of jealousy. And so they are now sitting on these lower rungs of the ladder of love. Irritation, jealousy, complaining, they are blaming each other. Something is going to be transformed. And this transformation happens in 19 slokas. That is the Gopi Geets, which we are going to talk about from tomorrow. They sing these 19 slokas to call Krishna. Now, after singing it to him, they sing it. These are songs of separation, songs of pain. So they start from this lower pain and they go up to the highest knowledge where the gopis are transformed in 19 slokas. Their lower love is transformed into something higher. And Krishna comes and he makes his appearance. And they have a ras, they have a whole dance. And in that dance, Krishna, even though he is one, the sensitivities are many. So between two gopis, one Krishna arranges himself. And each gopi thinks Krishna is dancing with me. Suddenly, the lower has been transformed. So, now, there is this one gopi whom he is taken with her. And she comes back and she has a certain feeling. Which feeling did she have? What is not possible in love? What is? Huh? No, in love. Because we have it all the time. So of course now we've grown old, but especially when we were in college or whatever. Supposing I'm able to take a good looking girl to the dance or whatever, what feeling do I have? Feeling of what? What feeling do I have? Feeling of victory. There is a feeling of victory. That day we talked about the feeling of meritoriousness. That I have done something good. In love there is nothing like victory. But this gopi who came with Krishna, she was with him physically. The others were not with him. But in those 19 slokas they were able to transform the lower to the higher. And she was physically with him, but because she had a feeling of victory, the transformation did not happen. It's so beautifully put over here. I mean, as if these rishis knew the intricacies of human psychology. God knows well. This feeling that I have won, I have possessed somebody. See, I made him or her mine. This feeling of victory is never there in love. The minute that feeling has come, love has gone. It's died. And then Krishna comes and he takes the roop of Kamdev. And they have this ras, where each gopi thinks Krishna is dancing with him. The brain is digital, the heart is not digital. Emotional energy is not digital. The brain can only do one thing at a time. The heart can do many things at a time. When we say many things, we think of cooking the food and washing the clothes at the same time. But the heart, it absorbs so many things at the same time. The brain takes a long time to, put that all on the computer screen, what the heart has absorbed. The heart is a zip file. So it is spatial. And when this emotional energy expands, we call it as Brahma, the expanding consciousness. Right? And so we feel that it was this one Krishna, it's not something which we can understand from the brain. Because the brain will think of only one, how can one become many? But in the heart, the one becomes many.
Is that the reason why they say that think with your heart and not with your brain?
Yeah. Feel, don't think. My teacher, you cannot imagine the number of phone calls every day. And I couldn't believe the way he would do it. You would come to him and you would be saying that, sir, should I sell my motorcycle? Before you have even said it, he'll say, sell it and put down the phone. That's it. Now you've not yet said anything from this side. Just say, sell it and put down the phone. He used to play chess with 20 people simultaneously. And the rule was that one move per day. So in the morning he would get these 20 phone calls and he would say his move, or they would say the move, and that's it. There was no chessboard or anything. He didn't work from the brain. There were so many Krishnas answering on chess, answering for the motorcycle, making the medicine, and all these were the gopis whom he was interacting with. He used to make homeopathic medicine. So I would be making the labels and he would be making the medicine. And he used to live on the 6th floor, there was no lift. So I would be making label for somebody and I'd say, from sir, this one's medicine. And I'd see he's doing something totally different. And sir, what are you doing? And it was not a guru-shishya relationship. It was a friendly relationship. It was not like I was the student, but he has never shown me that he was the guru. I always told him I am the student. And suddenly he would be closing one bottle of medicine and he would go and open the door, hand it out to that person over there and close the door. He saw that person coming up the steps. And I would keep on asking me, in color TV gadi bhi in my last life I swallowed a color TV. I can just see everything. And this was an ongoing process. Some days there would be nearly 200 phone calls. And there was never any tension about anything. He just lived this. And we never talked about all this. We talked about all nonsensical things. But he just poured it in. So what I'm trying to say, the heart can do so many things at the same time. The heart, what is the... You've got the whole month, why bother? Right. The heart is the astral. The heart is the subtle part. And it is represented by water. And thank you. Oh, that's a big cup. Straight from the heart. So, when water stills down, it reflects everything around. Similarly, our heart reflects everything. I remember I spent 7 years with Ramdulare Babu. That was before I met Tauriya Sahib, my guru. I was with this Swamiji Maharaj for 7 years. And I was his driver. I used to drive him all over India. So, one day I remember the petrol was going down on the thing. So we were traveling to Ahmedabad, from Rajkot to Ahmedabad. And so I said, sir, we have to fill petrol. I used to call him Bapu. Bapu, petrol bharwanu chhe. So he said, no, not here. Not here. So I said, no, the car will stop, we have to fill petrol. No, just wait. And then suddenly he said, take it into this petrol pump. So we took it into that petrol pump. And he says, tell him to fill the tank. Now, here we are filling the tank from the other side, from the Ahmedabad side, one car comes, stops at the petrol pump. There was one big fruit merchant in Rajkot, his name was Pannalal. He was his disciple of this Maharaj, this Bapu. He gets out of the car, he says, Bapu. So by that time the petrol had been full and it was time to pay the money for them. He said, nee, how can you pay the money? Let me pay the money. Then we are going out of the petrol pump. He's saying, see, I told you, you have to fill in this petrol pump. So, we think in terms of digital, but the heart can do so many things at the same time. And the first thing I do whenever I sit down to study or anything is I try to move from the brain to the heart. And I use different techniques to do that. First thing I do is I make my attention one-pointed. Have I taught you all the prism exercise? So first thing I do is the prism exercise. I'll teach it again, the prism exercise. Right? That takes 5 minutes. And then I just sit with the rhythmic breathing and I visualize my son or daughter in my heart laughing at me and I'm laughing back at them. So there's a shift of the center of gravity from the head to the heart. And then start doing your work, whatever work, you may be in your job or wherever you are. But there has been a shift from this brain to another brain. And it will work wonders. You'll really be shocked. So much of work which previously would take so much of time, you'll be able to really compress work. So, Hriday vistri sake છે. એમાં વિસ્તરવાની શક્તિ છે. It can expand. The heart can expand. So there were, between two gopis there was one Krishna. So many sensitivities we have. So many sensitivities. Who is Radha amongst all these sensitivities? I love life. I love to eat good food, love to go out, love to meet friends, love to do this, love to do that. So many sensitivities in life. Right? But who is Radha amongst all these sensitivities? And I'm not talking about excitement. For us, life is excitement. Which new movie, which new this, which new that. Not excitement. Sensitivity. It could be the same movie, but the joy is the same. Right? Same wife, the joy is the same. Sensitivity, the energy of sensitivity. It never gets bored. Never gets bored. You may tell the same thing to me 100 times, but it will never get bored. That energy of sensitivity. In excitement, you get bored. Excitement and boredom go together. Here, in life, there is no boredom. So, out of all these sensitivities, which is the sensitivity of Radha?
Faithfulness.
Supposing we say, no, not faithfulness, no. we have all these concepts of faithfulness. They have nothing to do with, they're just morality. They have nothing to do with spirituality. But we'll put it in another way. There is the seeing consciousness and the feeling consciousness. I feel this and I see this. Can I divide these into two? I feel this, it's wet. That's a feeling, a sensitivity. But there's somebody experiencing that inside also. And these are two different things. In us, they're stuck together is different because we've not practiced separating them. That seeing consciousness is Krishna. The feeling that it is wet is a gopi. Now where is Radha in this? Where is Radha in this? Out of all these gopis, where is Radha? It's very easy, very, very easy. Say, you say something to make me happy. So there's a feeling of happiness. Supposing there's inner presence, what we talked about yesterday, consciousness. So there is a presence, somebody observing that inside, which normally is not there. But through hard work we are going to come to that, where there are two parts of us, one which is feeling and one which is observing. Right? So, then after some time you say something to make me sad, pain, you give me suffering. So, 5 minutes ago you gave me happiness, 5 minutes later you give me suffering. Again, there is the feeling of suffering and there is also the feeling of something watching that suffering. The feeling from suffering is separate from the feeling of happiness. Very clear? But if there is a feeling of the watcher, will it be separate in both those instances? The feeling of the one who is watching, will it be separate? It cannot be separate. It will be the same whether there is happiness here or sadness here. It will never change. It will get more and more intense, but it will never change. So the feeling of so many inclinations of life, of the joys of the senses, the joys of the mind, the depressions of the mind, the sufferings of the mind, everything, all these feelings are different gopis, but the feeling of the one who is watching it is only one feeling, that is Radha. She is the highest of all the feelings. The feeling of the watcher, the feeling of Krishna. So each gopi is the energy of sensitivity, and he is the one who is drinking this energy of sensitivity.
So Rajan, sorry, I just need to. So the watcher is male, right? You said that the inner.
Yeah, because we call him as vibration, and we call the energy as female. This is just a way of naming things. This is the Hindu way of naming things, because they call him as Purush, and they call the Shakti as Prakriti.
So that which is within you is a feeling, and that's pure, and that's
You're talking to me,
yeah.
right? But at the same time, you're aware that you're talking to me. And that awareness is being experienced by something inside. That is Krishna.
And that Krishna that's within has a feeling, is that...
And there is a feeling of that Krishna. Feeling that I am watching. There is a feeling that I am watching.
So that feeling that I am watching is different from the feeling that's being experienced, is that what you're saying?
Definitely. There's a feeling of a sunset, but there's also a feeling of I am watching the sunset. Yesterday we went to see the sunset and moonrise at the same time. Because it was on full moon, you would get to see them at the same time. So there's a feeling of the beauty of sunset. There's a feeling of the colors of the sunset. And there's a feeling of the watcher at the same time. And if something was to obstruct my view of the sunset, supposing you were walking there on the road and suddenly you came in between, and I'd say, the sun is here, get out of the way. I won't say it because there's a feeling of the watcher at the same time. And that gives, in whatever is the outside condition, that gives a sense of total fulfillment. Now you understand what I'm trying to say. But you may come in the way and you may block my sunset. But there will be no reaction inside. There cannot be, because there's the feeling Radha. Radha is prosperity, Radha is happiness. There's that feeling of joy inside, joy of just feeling the watcher.
So Radha is the actual experience.
Experience. So there are two experiences. Let's take this in another way. Try to take this in another way. Supposing we say that all the five senses have two sides to them. One, they can experience the outer, and one, they can also experience the inner. That is, each sense has an inner sense which can change direction. That doesn't mean you turn your eyes wrong, upside down or something, right? But they can experience the inner and they can experience the outer. And these two parts of the senses can be detached from each other. They do detach in a dream, but we are not aware of it. You get what I'm trying to say? In a dream, there is no water. There is no water. Here it's wet, so I'm really feeling wet over here. But in a dream also I'm feeling wet, but the water is not real. There is no waterfall over there to make me feel wet. But I'm still feeling wet, or I'm still feeling hot. Right? Now, the eyes are closed, the senses are closed. In the Yoga Sutra, Patanjali calls this state as abhav. Abhav. Right? But still there is an experience. So each sense organ has an outer part and an inner part. Or we can say we have two sense organs, the internal senses and the external senses. And those internal sense organs can be detached. Now let's go a little further into this. Supposing we've all experienced states where we are half asleep and half awake. Right? So we are in this state of relaxation and this deep relaxation, and supposing you are talking in the room, I can hear what you are talking, and at the same time I know what is happening inside. I may be even seeing a dream inside, and I'm seeing both or feeling or hearing both the things simultaneously at the same time. Most of us have experienced this at some time or the other. Can we move into this state consciously? Can we do it now? Can we sit on the wall of the five senses, that you're looking at me, hearing me, and at the same time being aware of the reactions which are happening inside? You're sitting on the wall. This is called as Yoga Nidra. To be able to sit on the wall. You see, just now, we are so attached to the external sense that there is no sensitivity of the inner sense organs. But if we could detach a little, the outer and the inner, then you'd be listening to me and you'd also be observing what is happening in your mind at the same time. I like this, I don't like this, it was good, it was bad, I better get over soon. Whatever. Right? It's a state of yoga. You're sitting on the wall between Bhulok and Bhuvalok. This inner is called Bhu Bhuva Swaha. We keep on reciting the mantra without knowing what we are talking about. Bhu, we're sitting on the wall now. And when you're going into this ras, this dance, the outer sense organs go into a state of semi-sleep. It is like the musician has become one with his music, or the dancer has become one with the dance. Only thing is, if somebody tells them, be conscious of the inside, then they will suddenly separate, and the outer dance will just continue in a very passive way, and they will be aware of what is happening inside. This is possible. This is the beginning of spirituality, to divide these two. We want to move from Bhulok to Bhuvalok. We have to practice this. See, we do so many pujas, we do so many things. Just imagine if we were able to do it in this semi-state, where we are on this side and that side. We will be able to hear the vibrations of the puja and see their effects at the same time. To sit on this wall between Bhulok and Bhuvalok, and maybe one day we sit on the wall between Bhuvalok and Swahalok. Sit on the wall. But we don't practice. We don't practice when we sleep at night. We don't practice when we wake up in the morning. We waste that time. We jump out of bed. And we don't. And those few moments where we could have been in that in-between state, we don't try to stay in that state. Just, if we could, every day we get two opportunities. When we go to bed at night and when we get up in the morning. How many of us practice? You don't have to do anything. You wake up as it is in the morning. Just don't wake up so fast. Try to remain in between. And that feeling that I can see inside and hear outside at the same time. I know what is happening there and I know what is happening here. And try to carry that feeling into the day. There will be a certain inner separation of somebody observing and somebody doing. The doing is the it, the one who is observing will become the I. Just now the doer is the I. Tremendous change inside. Tremendous change inside. This is what we want. I keep on sowing seeds everywhere, talking everywhere. I don't know, but it just overflows. Just I have to share it.
Is that the same as Om Dhimai?
Satyam Param Dhimai. Param Dhimai. Dhimai means to meditate. Satyam, Param Satyam. Satyam means the truth. I want to meditate on the Param truth, the supreme truth. So, when you wake up in the morning, don't wake up. You feel yourself waking up. See, just as there is an outer sun, there is an inner sun. Right? This inner sun we call the Atma. It sends out a ray. It is that ray of light which moves through our unconscious mind, our subconscious mind, our conscious mind, and moves out through my eyes, and I am able to see you, experience you. We call that ray of light as attention. That ray of light which comes out of that sun, it's the soul, it is Jeev. The soul is attention, but attention is hypnotized. It is hypnotized. If he tells me something very good, I get hypnotized. There's no awareness inside. And we are hypnotized each moment by the events of life. It's a continuous process of hypnosis. Every event hypnotizes us. Takes the attention away. Takes the Jeev away. The soul away. Soul is attention. And it has come from that inner sun. Now, here you've just woken up in the morning. You've not yet fully woken up. Just the energies are rising. The sun is sending out its ray to awaken everything. The unconscious, the subconscious, the conscious mind. The ray is just coming. That is the moment where you just remain. Hang on. Just look inside. And you recite this mantra which you're saying. Om Satyam Param Dhimai. I want to meditate on the supreme truth and nothing else. I don't want anybody in between. Nothing in between. Just do it for 1 or 2 minutes. But do it in that half state. Don't wake up like this and sit and do it. Do it in that half state. Say it from your heart, as if Layla is lost in the jungle and Majnu knows that he's definitely not going to find him in the dark, her in the dark. But he can't sit and rest. He has to go from tree to tree and shout, Layla, Layla. He knows that in the dark he can't see her at all. It's night. But still he's going to shout. Right? Similarly, that inner state, I want the truth and I want nothing else. And just do it for 1 or 2 minutes. 2 minutes is a long time in that space. You can live many lifetimes in 2 minutes in that space. Just hold on. And because all the clouds which cover the sun, they are not yet awoken, those clouds. They are still in a state of suspension. If you say it properly, you will see the light of the sun. You will feel the light of the sun. You will sense the light of the sun. That sensitivity of that inner sun is Radha. It's not so difficult. But we forget. We forget. And then we've had a heavy dinner and we go to sleep and it becomes difficult.
But you know, that point of when you're waking up in the morning, is it different for everybody because of the different levels, or is it happening simultaneously for everybody?
It's different for everyone. At what point does the conscious mind come to meet us? You get what I'm trying to say? I may be in a state of total paralysis and the conscious mind comes to meet me. And somebody may be totally awake and the conscious mind comes to meet him. At what time in that journey of waking up does the conscious mind come to meet me? Am I aware of the light? Am I aware of what is happening? Am I aware of the inner activity? At what point? And that point will keep changing every day. As I practice this, it will go deeper and deeper. So today I wake up when the traffic, the big noise of the horns start coming, and then I wake up. But then I'll wake up much early. I'll still be sleeping, but I'll wake up much early. Because now the consciousness has come to meet me much earlier. You get what I'm trying to say? Now, in this dance, each gopi feels Krishna is for her only. And this is the beauty, that even though that you're in this state of divided attention, where you're sensing the watcher, whatever you're doing it, you're totally involved with it. Why are you totally involved with it? What is not there? What is not there? I think the prep comes after the tea only. What is not there? Just now, supposing I'm polishing this, right? Why is it not a total action? Why is it not a total action? Say I'm polishing it. Why is it not a total action? I'm daydreaming at the same time. Right? I'm thinking, I'm polishing plastic today, maybe tomorrow I'll be polishing gold, I don't know. Right? So, I'm not totally here. This gopi does not feel Krishna is with her. This gopi, she does not feel Krishna is with her. But when I'm in a state of divided attention, there is the observer and the observer. I'm observing myself also at the same time. Whatever you're doing, there is no daydreaming. You're just there. So even though the feeling of Radha, there is separation. You will think there is a division, but there is a totality. There is no division. Even though there is a division, there is no division, because whatever you're doing with totality. There is no longer any daydreaming or brooding. You're just doing that. And still you're watching at the same time. And that is the beauty of it. That each of the gopis thought that Krishna was for him only.
Isn't that a sort of an illusion?
is the breaking of the illusion, sir. We don't even realize the illusion we are there. We think we are awake when we are sleeping all 24 hours. That is the biggest illusion. The beauty of it is it never wakes. One day you will wake up and you will see sleeping people around you. They are walking, they are talking, they are eating, but they are still sleeping. You think you've gone mad. The whole world is upside down, sir. So attention can be one-pointed, it can be diffused also. So we have a wholeness in attention and we have a one-pointed attention. There was a whole dance and also a one-pointed. Each gopi thought Krishna was for him. For her, sorry. This whole meeting of Radha Govind in Vrindavan, Gokul to Vrindavan, is full of the ras called Shringar. Now Shringar ras has two aspects to it. It's the highest of all the bhavas, Shringar. The present moment is Shringar, if we can be in the present moment. Now it has two aspects. One is union, physical meeting, and the other is virha, the pain of separation. Can we use this, the pain of separation? Can we use it? In small, we are not aware, no, we are daydreaming all the time. How can we use it? How can we use it?
I think if you're using this, if you're feeling this pain of separation, it helps to keep your focus because it's quite continuous.
Right. How do we use it? Where do we find this pain of separation? Where do we go to find it?
Physically in our body, in our heart.
No, in normal life, where do we find it? How do we find it and how do we transform it?
In small everyday suffering.
Supposing I've forgotten my glasses over here and I go back to the room where I'm living and I want to read something. Is there pain of separation? Can I use it? Can I transform it in that moment? I don't have to have a game of Radha Krishna. This is Radha and I am Krishna. Is it possible?
It's possible if you bring your attention to it.
Right.
And you remember that. That is the
Remember yourself in the small things in life. Right? Suppose you hear today there's the radio FM going on over here. That you what do you call it? You down payment of only 6,000 Rand for a Mercedes. There was one advertisement. Right? And okay, you feel an inner emptiness inside that, okay, you don't have a Mercedes. And can you use that? To just go one step ahead. That becomes Radha and you become Krishna. Can you see the small things in life? You don't have to go for all this. This is just a process. It's just a process. But in small things there can be pain of separation, from things to people, to leaving people, to meeting people. There's so much in life which we can use. You don't have to go anywhere to look for it. I may be leaving to come here, I'm leaving my wife, I'm leaving. Use the pain. Don't waste it. We waste it, we complain, oh, this, that. Then gone. The minute you complain, gone. There's so much we can use, right? From just ordinary things, just forgetting your glasses. Supposing we've talked over here. There's a feeling of you, there's a feeling of me. There's a feeling of you and me interacting, and you go away. And there's a small emptiness as you go away. Can I use that emptiness? We hardly know each other, and still we know each other. You get what I'm trying to say? There must be inner sensitivity for this. So this ras is not something which you watch on TV or you watch on a serial or something. It is something which we play morning to evening, every day. So now, what happens? Oh God. In the end, we are all slaves of time. Now, they say that future events, they cast their shadows. They cast their shadows. And Radha and Krishna, they exchange each other's clothes. Radha wears Krishna's clothes and Krishna wears Radha's clothes. And it becomes difficult to recognize who is Radha and who is Krishna. The only way of recognizing them, who is Krishna, is the one who plays the flute is Krishna. And this flute which is played is called as Vanshi. So we have three kinds of flute: Murli, the circle. Within the circle there is an exchange of energy, movement of energy, which we call as Venu, the flow, the flow. And now the game is about to get over. It is time for the curtain to fall. If Radha can become Krishna, she does not need Krishna. Now the time for everything to get over. And so the last play of the flute is Vanshi. Vanshi means to throw out, to vomit out, to throw out. Now Krishna is going to be thrown out of Vrindavan. Kans is going to send Akrur to invite him to come to Mathura, and he is never going to come back to Vrindavan. So, this is the last flute he plays. There is an exchange of clothes. It's time to go, Vanshi, and he leaves the gopis, he leaves Radha, and he goes to Mathura. And Mathura, he leaves the flute, and he takes on four things: Shankha, the shell; Padma, the lotus; Gada, the what you call the weapon; and the chakra, Sudarshan chakra. The flute has gone, he never takes it back again, right? And Radha is left. That part of Shringar Ras where there was physical meeting is now over, and when that Sambhoga part of Shringar Ras is over, the other part comes into play, and that is called as Virha, the pain of separation. And it is this pain of separation which we will again talk about tomorrow. I wanted to finish it today, but we'll talk about it tomorrow. It is this pain of separation that she transforms into something higher. And this Virha has two parts: the pain of separation, the longing, and the memories of what happened. And it is these two things which she transforms. If Krishna was to come back, then it would have spoiled her whole journey. So there was now no point in Krishna coming back to meet her. Krishna and Balram both leave Vrindavan. Balram comes back at one point in time for a few months. Krishna never comes back. Shank means to calm down. Gada, the weapon. Gada means Gadya Pada, the magic of words, Gadya. Sudarshan, the inner observer, right observation. All the inner Rakshasas are killed by inner observation. We'll go through that. And Lotus is the one who is observing, has risen above the mud of life. Right? So now, he's in a totally different space. These were the good days of his life which he spent with Radha, with the gopis. They were beautiful days. After that, there is not peace in his life for a single day. He's involved in politics, he's involved with war, and then he's involved with the big war called Mahabharata. There's no more peace in his life. He has to keep on moving and working. But these were good days anyway, they had to end. And so the final flute which he plays is one sheep throwing out the time to go, and the curtain comes down on the whole Ras Leela which happened in Gokul and Vrindavan. We'll stop over here and we'll continue tomorrow. What is the pain of separation? Thank you. Any questions? Good night. Jai Shri Krishna.